Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boom Bust channel, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today, stop me if you heard this before, the Bears hire a young offensive coordinator from a really hot offensive unit to come in and work with their young quarterback of the future and to raise the bar for the offense, except the offense continues to be average, above average at best, and the quarterback continues to struggle, thereby starting a debate, an endless circle of debates about is it the quarterback or is it the coach. Eventually, everybody wants the coach fired, and then the coach gets fired. The quarterback still continues to struggle. Eventually, the quarterback goes away, and then we move on to the next. Sound familiar? Anyway, the Bears hire Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions as the next head coach. We'll learn more, obviously, as we hear the introductory press conferences and everything. But Bears fan, or a lot of Bears fans, I won't say all, but a lot of Bears fans online, a lot of casuals, they get the quarterback coach that they've been waiting for, even though I could have looked, but I didn't look. I don't know if Ben Johnson coached quarterbacks. I know he was a tight end coach before he got promoted. That doesn't always mean that he played tight end, whatever. I don't know what he played. I don't know that he played quarterback. I don't know that he's ever coached a quarterback. The only quarterback he's ever had was Jared Goff, who was obviously a very, very, very deep in his career veteran, former number overall pick, who's kind of been there, done that, and plays with great rhythm and anticipation. None of that is Caleb. And so I guess I won't say we got our quarterback coach, but we got our whatever you want. We got our play caller, I guess. People are excited that he knows how to call plays. The only one that knows how to call plays. So that is what we got going forward. The speculation is ended. Now, for me, I was never in the camp of, first of all, let me just say this, because I'm sure we got some people listening today. The complaints about the ownership are stupid. I'm sorry. And you're talking about somebody who gets accused of complaining about everything. The complaints about the Bears ownership, I won't say they're stupid. They're misplaced. So as I said before in a prior episode, if you really spend any amount of time in other fan circles, you know that all these fans say the exact same stuff about their team, especially if their team is losing. So us talking about the ownership and we're not going to win until we sell the team. Look, that's just something that people are going to say. Now I get it. You're going to say, well, look at the Commanders and what happened. Yes, I get that. Ownership is important. Never said it wasn't. But to sit here and act like we have an owner or a family of owners, anything like some of these disaster trains, is silly. Like, at the end of the day, this idea that we didn't develop a quarterback and we never had an offensively explosive team. Okay, so what? There's teams that do have traditions, I guess, and play style, but I'm not going to sit here. First of all, the McCaskies weren't even here to date back to some of the stuff we're trying to blame them for. But on top of that, when it comes to the owners, are you interfering? Are you stepping in on people's decisions and saying, no, you have to do this? Are you stepping in on personnel and saying, hey, this Madden rating is too low, so we won't trade for that player? Are you stepping in and saying, hey, GM, no, you can't move up in the draft. I don't care how much you like them. I'm not allowing you to use our picks. Are you sitting in the meetings interrupting the coach? Are you going on the radio and talking every day? Are you doing things like that? No, our owners, we have spent money. We have allowed everybody in power to be in power, and that's the most important thing you can do. If you're going to sit here and complain that, well, they're part of the interview process, and so that's the problem. Every owner is part of the interview process. And guess what? Almost every owner, maybe besides Jerry Jones, doesn't know football. So please miss me with that. That is just a weak argument. But even if you did go with that, you cannot sit here and put our ownership on the level of incompetence of some of these other teams. All right. So anyway, with that being said, I don't even remember how I got to that point. But we're moving on. The Bears got Ben Johnson. And obviously, we'll see what happens. We know with his offensive background and everything of that nature with the Lions. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Sorry, let me back up. So I knew the talks about Caleb, the talks about the owner and Ben Johnson not taking the job because of that, never bought into that. The only thing that I really thought was going to be strong was that he wouldn't want to stay in the NFC North. He wouldn't want to go against Dan Campbell and do all that just to keep it, all cordial. Now, look, I don't know their relationship. I don't know the type of guy he is. Maybe he's like, hey, maybe they talked about it. Maybe they said, hey, this will be fun and this will be a nice little competitive thing. And it's not, it's not, because Dan Campbell's a different guy. So it's not, a mucky situation, because there's a lot of guys that aren't cool that would take that personally, and they might not want to damage a friendship or, whatever. You might not want to go against a guy that kind of was responsible for helping him out. There's not a lot of times you get the quote unquote coaching tree where they stay in the same division as the person they came under. That doesn't happen a ton. And so I thought for sure Ben Johnson wouldn't want to do that. But obviously that wasn't the case. So we'll see kind of how this all came together. But looking forward, and I haven't read everything. Thankfully, I caught enough. I know that he is pursuing pretty hard to get Dennis Allen to be his defensive coordinator, former DC/head coach for the Saints. I think he's a head coach for the Raiders. I don't really know his full background, but I know he's a longtime D coordinator, really good at what he does. Not someone that I'm super familiar with him personally. I've known the Saints defense over these years and kind of what they've looked like. And so I got an idea of what to expect. And it's going to be different because they have Marshawn Lattimore. They like to run a lot of man. We don't have the horses for that. If we turn around and do a lot of man, it's going to be a problem. So, coverage wise, I'm not worried. Obviously, he's smart enough to know if he can't go man all the time. But from what I've seen, not a super heavy blitzer, not too different from Eberflus. I do think it's more of a 4-man rush type of defense, sit back and play coverage and then stop the run. So again, not too different. The roster is going to be very different from the Saints, and we'll see how that goes if they hire him, by the way. But they're looking to get Allen. Obviously, two not impressive stints as a head coach, but he has been a head coach. And then they're pressing to get I forgot his first name, but Coach Rizzi, who that'll be interesting because he's kind of cool with Pat McAfee, and I don't like all our people being in national spotlight, but whatever. But he was the special teams coach there, took over as the interim. The players seem to like him, but look, at the end of the day, a lot of that interim stuff that tends to happen. Because they always usually hire a guy that's kind of a rah-rah guy that the people like. But either way, the players liked him. They said they played hard, so he got a little taste of being a head coach. And so bringing in two guys that have previous head coach experience is going to be a big thing, because at the end of the day, whether he's a quarterback developer, whether he's a play caller, whether he's a play designer, offensive system, whatever he is, he's not a head coach. Hasn't been a head coach. This is his first time doing that, having to deal with all the responsibilities of that. And that's going to be the biggest question going forward. And that's what I've talked about this entire time. Being a coordinator is not the same thing as being a head coach. It's nowhere near the same thing. And so at least what it sounds like on the surface from Adam Schefter and kind of the other people reporting, similar to Caleb, to be honest, they are looking to build an infrastructure around him to honestly kind of, I wouldn't say onboard him. And I don't know, I'll wait to hear, but at this point, seeing how many teams do these things and how they talk and how they think, it sounds like they're going to try to baby walk him into being a head coach. And I don't love that. And that's why I'm not opposed to a first-time head coach, but at the same time, I don't love this idea of hiring a guy just because he's a good coordinator. As I've said in my last episode talking about head coaching, hire a first-time head coach because he's done things that make you believe he's had some experience, some exposure, and some qualities and traits to be a head coach, not because he's good at being a coordinator. And so this idea that we're potentially going to bring in a consultant or analyst or whatever they call them, a liaison, an advisor. We're going to bring in coordinators. All the coordinators have been head coaches. Like, if we do stuff like that because we're trying to insulate him like we did Caleb. And look, ain't nothing wrong with Caleb kind of getting, and I wouldn't say Caleb. They do that with all the young quarterbacks. You're the starting quarterback. There's no competition. You're an automatic captain. You're this. You got this. We're going to get this guy that when you start doing all that stuff, to me, it's not good for competition. It's not good for growth. That doesn't mean you can't grow, but it's just not the way I would approach it. And if we got to do that with the head coach, I don't like those signs either. But look, at the end of the day, when Eberflus got fired and Ryan Post didn't, I said that day that is going to be a bad future ahead. Now, hopefully I'm wrong, but I told you, they took the wrong lessons from everything. You fired Eberflus, who was not the problem. You promoted Thomas Brown to head coach, who was literally in the middle of not doing a good job as the OC, and then you make him the head coach. You say we're keeping Poles no matter what the season does. How is he not a part of what Eberflus did? So you keep him, and just all those moves they did just told me they don't know what they're looking at. They don't know what they're evaluating, or at least they're not evaluating the correct thing. So bringing in Ben Johnson is not a shock. Once again, you're looking at the wrong things and you're coming to the wrong conclusions. And so we'll see what the rest of the staff looks like and how all that is built out to be. But the proof is on the field. I said this before as well. I'm not going to get too crazy in speculation before hire. I'm not going to get too crazy in speculation after the hire. Everybody's going to be digging up everything they can over the next month or two. Oh, Ben Johnson did this. Oh, he talked to this. Did you know he went to school with this guy who also went to school with Caleb Williams' nephews, or he don't have no nephew, but his cousin's baby mama, sister's auntie's teacher? Like, people gonna do all that. They're gonna come up with every reason why this is great. They're gonna hype themselves up, and that's fine. That's not my thing. I will wait until we get onto the field. I'm sure I'll probably look at some film, if I got time, do some film sessions, maybe talk about some stats. But at the end of the day, I've been saying this for about half the second half of the season. Ben Johnson's not bringing that O-line with him. Penei Sewell's not coming with him. So at the end of the day, what he did in Detroit is going to give you something, but it's not going to be the exact same. And everybody worried about Caleb. Ben Johnson is a run guy. Ben Johnson is a run guy. Everyone's acting like we're about to have some aerial assault. And even though the passing game was I wouldn't say prolific, but very effective with Detroit Lions and Jared Goff, again, in rhythm, anticipation, very different style than Caleb Williams. So yes, there'll be a lot of play action. It's going to be a lot for Caleb to learn. One thing I will say, if we get out there and it's 5 wide or 4 wide and it's very little play action, and Ben Johnson has completely changed the tempo of his offense for Caleb, that's a bad sign ahead. And if he continues with what he did, because everybody says this. Now, do they believe it? No, but they always say it because it's a cop-out answer. You don't force people into your system. You should change the system to fit the player. All right, so keep that same energy now. Because like I said, one or two things going to happen. Ben Johnson is going to go into a realm of a system that he hasn't had, or Caleb is going to have to completely learn a different style of play. And so we'll see which one it is and how effective it is. But people, keep that same energy, because I don't want you to come into the season next year like, why ain't he doing the things he did in Detroit? Because he don't have the players in Detroit. And he changed the system to fit Caleb. So I don't want to hear any of that. But yeah, everybody got the guy they wanted. And so I will sit back and we'll see how it goes. Go to the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe. And remember, stay up and bear down.